Tonight for sunset, I am back in these purple lupin flowers. I am planning on doing a self-portrait for sunset. It's pretty stormy out right now, so fingers crossed something cool could happen. But if not, that's okay. We'll still get an image. Regardless if it's stormy, I'll try and make something work. I was also kind of thinking about doing just some landscape images, but it is quite windy. And these flowers are very, very delicate, and if I was going to focus stack, I might not be able to walk away with an image, so we'll see how that goes. There still is a couple of hours before sunset, but I'm probably going to start shooting soon because the light is really, really soft. The clouds have really nice texture in them, and overall, it's just a good scene for a self-portrait. I am going to stick with the color theme of these lupins, and I will be using a purple dress for this evening. I actually love the purple dress, but I find it's one of the most challenging colors to use. The last place you guys would have seen it was from my Death Valley shots. I used it a lot there because I thought it really matched kind of like those earthy colors and the sand and those sort of yellows that were in the landscape over there. But yeah, it is a pretty nice evening. I'm currently in this city. It's called Vernon, BC. Of course, it's in Canada because I know you all know I'm Canadian. It is about an hour drive from Salmon Arm. I actually come out here quite a bit to photograph the balsam root, which blooms before these lupins bloom. I've been coming out here for years. It's really, really close to this other tiny little town that I actually grew up in and spent most of my childhood and high school years. It's about a 15-minute drive from there, so I'm very familiar with this area. It's not as, I would say, lush green forest, bigger mountains as Salmon Arm. Salmon Arm does have a little bit more of a mountain feel, whereas closer out here, it still is, there's lots of mountains, but it starts to get more, not desert-y, but maybe more smaller hills with more dry landscapes. It is really popular for people who come out and boat. It's in the Okanagan. We're just known for boating. Boating and wine, that is what we're known for. So I've got some stormy clouds this evening. Let's hope we can make something work. There is a nice break in the horizon, and sunset actually isn't for a couple of hours, so if that sticks around, then there should be some pretty good color. But again, I will probably still shoot even when it's stormy. I can now feel that it's actually starting to rain. I can feel a few raindrops, and it's windy, but that's okay because I like to have the wind for my hair and for my dress. So bring on all the wind. We need all the movement in the image as possible. So for my self-portrait, I am going to be using the Canon app remote. As always, if you do self-portraits, I highly recommend getting one of these. It is so handy. Just you can see everything. Takes away all the stress of posing. So while I wait for light to change, this is where I would kind of just scope around the area and start planning out compositions. I usually take my camera around and I walk around the whole scene with my camera in live view, and I get as low as possible, I get as high as possible, and this is actually how I decide my compositions. With flowers, the flowers are going to be in my foreground, so they're going to be the main, not the main star of the show. I'll be the star of the show, but the flowers will be pretty important. I'm not going to focus stack this because it's windy, so I do plan on leaving the flowers in the foreground for this portrait a little bit out of focus, because when they are out of focus, that helps draw you into the middle of the photo. And I like to change things up. I don't always have to focus stack my shots. I always focus stack them. So I just did the self-portrait with the flowers and it actually turned out really, really nice. I decided to face the camera this time because I love the cut of the dress here. Usually I do hide the straps when I take the image, but I love the cut of this dress. I find that it's its biggest strength, and I also think it's just a good way to step away from always showing my back to all the images. I have a lot of long dark hair, and I think someone had pointed out, and I totally agree with it, that my hair it's so long and it's so dark that it kind of gets lost down in my back and you can't even really see the shape of my body anymore. And since I can't actually tie my hair up in a ponytail right now, which looks really good with this dress, I decided to face the camera instead to kind of solve that problem. Here is the first image. We have the Lupins here in the foreground and me in the middle ground, and then we have this kind of nice brighter white wispy clouds with a slightly nice blue sky in the background. I am going to photograph a long exposure just now to hopefully get some streaks in the sky. And then I actually also plan on photographing behind me because it's a little bit more moody that way, and I'm going to try and get some vertical portraits that way. So since the storm started to break up and the light started to come out, a magical rainbow has appeared in the sky, and I ended up having to scramble around and try and find a new composition to shoot facing that way. So I found these flowers here, which was my foreground, and then I had myself in the middle as the middle ground, and then the rainbow was a perfect arch over me in the portrait. I ended up shooting this vertically. I'm only going to shoot this vertically because this patch of flowers is not that wide to kind of just like fill the frame. So vertical it is for this one. The last one that I did was horizontal. Anyways, I'm so happy that I came back out again tonight to shoot this. The funny thing is that now I'm filming the video on my Mark IV, which I usually shoot the photos with, because my M50, the battery died. So we'll just say in these last 2 days I've been having a lot of gear issues, but it's all user related gear issues. I would appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future videos. I have a lot of plans coming up with filming and taking you along on all of my adventures. Again, I would really love it if you'd subscribe. I love connecting with you guys. This has turned out to be a beautiful evening. Without further ado, here are the images from this evening. Here is the first image from this evening's shoot. So this is the one where I am facing the camera with the Lupins in the foreground, and this is also the one that I thought I was going to have a pretty stormy sky, a pretty stormy gray blue color sky. But what ended up happening was the sun came out and the clouds started to break apart, so we got a little bit of blue sky in there, a little bit more of a brighter, happy feel. The one thing I don't like about this image, and this is actually in all of the images that I took, because I obviously take multiples, is the way that I'm holding the dress, and it makes it really tight just under my stomach. You can see the tension there. I think if I wasn't holding onto it so tight, it would have flowed a little bit better. So that's just me as a user error, I guess you could say, in holding the dress. I really like the soft light that is coming in from the side, and I love the mountains in the background. That's one of my favorite parts of this scene, and I find that it's really easy to put a person right in the middle of that. As you can see, the Lupins are slightly out of focus, and I did this on purpose so it would help to draw your eye into me in the frame, but otherwise I normally would have focus stacked this, or I would have also been a little bit closer to the flowers. However, I pulled back a bit on this and did shoot at 16 just to make sure that I was not, for myself in the frame, that I was not too close to the top. Here is the second image from this evening, which is actually my favorite one of the two. The light in it is so gorgeous. That is my favorite part of this entire image. I had to shoot this vertically. The flowers just weren't wide enough to really fill a horizontal frame, but it worked perfectly for vertical. And of course, then I could get more sky in there, which I love the sky in this. And you'll notice with these last two images, I actually didn't do any long exposure work for them. I just felt, you know what, I'm just gonna leave the clouds how they are. They were moving, but they weren't moving that fast that it greatly impacted the image if it was a long exposure. Anyways, I love the color of the dress in this one, and I love how the light hits it. Probably what I don't like is I did shoot this at 16 mil, and that obviously makes the background in the sky a lot smaller, so it made that rainbow a lot smaller. I think I could have shot it a little bit closer and emphasized the size of that rainbow. But other than that, this one is definitely my favorite of the two. I couldn't have been happier with these conditions. It was a surprise for sure that the rainbow came out and all this nice light came out. But that is what happens when you go out shooting. You will be surprised every single time. Anyways, again, I would love it if you guys would subscribe, and if you could give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate that, as it helps me break through the YouTube algorithm. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye!